During the Kojima situation, right after canceling Silent Hills, Konami said they are still committed to continue the series and develop more entries in the Silent Hill franchise. And they actually might. But that's not important. The issue is that it will most likely be bad. The series has become the Simpsons of horror games. It has been subpar for longer than it's been good. And man, were they both good. So what would a good Silent Hill game look like nowadays? What makes a Silent Hill game good? Why do we even care anymore? Konami never really cared about Silent Hill. Konami wanted a game to profit off the success of Resident Evil. They had a group of people they had no faith in and let them do whatever they wanted and ignored them. This resulted in the original Silent Hill for PlayStation 1. Silent Hill 1 became a hallmark of the horror genre. It turned out great due to Konami's disinterest in it. If only that would work now. For the sequel, Konami just threw money into it, and it exceeded the first game, at least critically. And debatably it happened again with the third entry, but that's another discussion for another time. Silent Hill 4 was the first sign of Konami's meddling affecting the series. While 4 gets more criticism than it deserves, it was just going to be a spin-off, not a mainline entry. But Konami wanted that sweet, sweet brand recognition money. This is where the quality of the series takes a nosedive. Origins? Homecoming? Meh. Shattered Memories? It's alright, I guess. Downpour? I had hopes while playing it, but it ended up meaningless, shallow, and just another disappointment in a line of other disappointments. Oh, Book of Memories. Whatever. Who cares anymore? Fans have become numb. These games, plus 2 movies, a deeply flawed one that had some heart behind it, along with a dumpster fire of a movie, and a series isn't looking too good. What made the original 4 games feel unique? Story-wise, all the games involved the cult and a botched sacrificing of the child Alessa, which results in the monsters and nightmarish landscapes of the town. This includes Silent Hill 2, which many point to as its own contained story, but the story of James is only able to happen because of the actions of the cult in Silent Hill 1.
What are you talking about?
This continued in Silent Hill 3, where you play as Heather and repeatedly told by Claudia that you are to birth a new god. Silent Hill 4 is based on Walter Sullivan, who is mentioned in a newspaper in Silent Hill 2 and was involved, retroactively, in the actions of the cult in Silent Hill 1. Aside from maybe Origins, the Western games all wanted to be Silent Hill 2, their own secluded tale of a troubled person ignored the cult. Though I guess Homecoming tried to. Bless its heart. The disgusting creatures, which designers of the games described as soured flesh, have become one of the more iconic characteristics of the franchise. The enemies of Silent Hill 1 and 3 embody the personal struggles, dreams, and fears of Alessa. Silent Hill 4's creatures were Walter's. Silent Hill 2 is the only original entry where the characters, like the protagonist James, as well as the side characters, see their own personal monsters, and the manifestations of multiple characters interact and combine when near each other. The Western Silent Hill games made all the creatures projections of the protagonist's spheres, but did nothing to tie them to Alessa or even to other characters in the games. A big mistake with the Western entries is that they wanted to improve the combat and make it more fun. Fun was never a part of Silent Hill's combat. The player can experience thrills and close fights that translate to positive reactions to the game, but there are a lot of frustrating fights in the original games, and that's by design. Combat was tense, and that's what's important. The Western games also pushed the psychological aspect of Silent Hill's horror too far, especially Shattered Memories. It's just painfully blatant. Now let's discuss the elephant in the room, the baby in the sink. PT or Silent Hills or whatever was the beacon of hope for the future of the series. PT was a phenomenal piece of horror, unique, unexpected, and so efficient with its environment. Every little bit of that repeating hallway is used to develop a rich backstory of a family that lived there before the father unoriginally killed them all. It's the best thing that could have happened to the series, and it would have been amazing. But would it have stayed true to the idea, story, and feeling of Silent Hill? A few ideas from the original games were carried over to PT. The common domesticated environment told a larger story than it would seem, and was being slowly corrupted over time. The sound design and ambience of the hallway was true to the series' pedigree. The baby in the sink continued the soured flesh idea from Masahiro Ito's monster designs. There are some red flags that point to a misunderstanding of Silent Hill. Jump scares are rarely used in the Silent Hill games. PT had a threat of Lisa jumping you seemingly any time during your playthrough. PT also hinted at the multiple dimensions theory of Silent Hill, which some Silent Hill fans really hate. So what would a new entry need to pass muster with the absolutely ravenous fan base? First and foremost, a story involving the occult that matches up with the story of 1, 3, and 4. No, the Order shenanigans. Part of the story that seems to be ignored, but actually adds to a lot of the series, are the side stories of members of the cult profiting off the cult, with Dr. Kaufman in Silent Hill 1 and Vincent in Silent Hill 3. It adds more complication and depth to the cult, showing inside politics instead of every cult member just being a brain-dead follower. I don't want to seem like that guy, but I do think the Japanese development is important to the surreal feeling of the series. The original games are Japanese developers recreating a small American town. Some things get lost in translation. Something so ordinary mixed with another culture's views and philosophy distorts details, resulting in some weird-ass shit. Personal struggles and psychological manipulation are big components of the effectiveness of the horror of the series. Inner drama within characters in the game give them depth if, and here's the important part, they're subtle. Subtlety was not a concept that the Western Silent Hill games were familiar with. Shattered Memories is psychological to a fault. As enjoyable as it was for what it was, the psychology system is almost laughable in how blatant it is. They don't hide the fact that your choices matter. That's the main selling point of the game. If you went into the game not knowing a thing and the game didn't constantly tell you of the gimmick, it would have been much more effective. Origins, Homecoming, and Downpour took the struggles of James and the last bit of Silent Hill 2 and making it into a whole game. What is needed to make a new good entry, more than anything, is passion. You can produce a big, simple game like Call of Duty that's moderately enjoyable made with no passion if it has enough money behind it. Good horror requires passion and inspiration. Forced horror is not effective. It's miserable. Does Konami have developers that have good ideas and a drive to make new Silent Hill games? Probably not. Konami probably beat it out of them a long time ago. Any freelance developers that could do it? Shattered Memories was another project shoehorned into a Silent Hill game that had passion behind it, just not the right passion for a Silent Hill game. Homecoming's developers were passionate about replicating the dissolving wall effect from the movie. What does the future hold for this cursed series? Probably just more patchy slot games and Pyramid Head placements and the occasional games Konami actually pumps out once in a while. You know what though? Let's stop being pessimistic and actually see what this new Silent Hill game would look like. Let's just run it through the analyzer here. Okay. Wait. Oh no.